Your top stories this evening, sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. Opposition leader Aubrey Norton formally requests International Commission of Inquiry into the death of Adriana Young. Government forces Guyana's workers to work paycheck to paycheck, says opposition leader. And 2 men remanded to prison for threatening to kill President Ali and inciting violence. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm Travis Chase with the Friday, May 2 edition of the HGP Nightly News. We have what you need to know this evening. 2 men were remanded to prison on Friday after being charged under the Cybercrime Act for threatening to kill President Irfan Ali and inciting terrorism via TikTok. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
24-year-old Emmanuel Rogers of New Prospect Housing Scheme East Bank Demerara appeared at the Diamond Golden Grove Magistrates Court to face charges of using a computer system to incite a criminal offense against the president and to incite a terrorist act. Both charges were filed under Sections 181C and 181D2 of the Cybercrime Act. Rogers was not required to plead. He was arrested by officers of the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, following a TikTok video posted on Tuesday, where he allegedly urged viewers to kill President Ali and attack public institutions including a police station, hospital, and the Parliament building. In a separate case, 43-year-old security guard Hasrel Ashby of El Dorado Village, West Coast, Berbice, was also charged with inciting a terrorist act. The offense allegedly occurred between Monday and Tuesday at Go-Slow Avenue, Tugville, Georgetown. Ashby reportedly used TikTok to call for the burning of several areas including Sophia Road, Weldad, Paradise, and El Dorado. He pleaded not guilty when he made an appearance before a magistrate at the Georgetown court. Both men were remanded to prison until May 23, 2025. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Annie Nandlall, during his weekly program Issues in the News, said that under the law, terrorist act resulting in death attract the death penalty and a $1.5 million fine. If there is no death, offenders can face a fine of at least $500,000 and 10 to 15 years in prison. He emphasized that those who encourage or incite terrorism can be punished, regardless if they actually committed the offense.
This seemed to be the most appropriate offense to charge these persons with.
Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Anti-drug agents wasted no time in charging 2 men for foreign weed that was found in a barrel shipped from the United States of America. One was granted bail, while the other is now a guest of the state again. Drug trafficking convict Lemmy Campbell and Micaiah Andrews have been arrested by Customs anti-narcotics agents after Campbell allegedly tried to clear a barrel of foreign weed that had been shipped to Guyana. Head of CANU, James Singh, said in a statement to the press that on Wednesday, April 30, 2025, Customs officers of the Guyana Revenue Authority and CANU officers intercepted the barrel at the Chedi Jagan International Airport, Lepargon Cargo Shed. A search of the barrel revealed that it was stacked with 1.502 kilograms of foreign weed. About 16 years ago, Campbell, his wife, and 2 other persons were convicted in Barbados for possession and the trafficking of marijuana and cocaine. They were sentenced to 20 years imprisonment, but were later ordered released on time served by the Barbados Court of Appeal. On the same day, anti-drug agents conducted a separate search of 2 additional barrels and found a further 16.4 kilograms of foreign cannabis. This prompted a follow-up investigation by CANU officers at a residence in northeast Le Penitence. There, a black garbage bag was discovered containing numerous packets of foreign Ziploc bags, small plastic containers, commonly used for packaging cannabis and rolling papers. By Friday morning, Andrews appeared before Magistrate Fortune at the Friendship Magistrates Court, where he pleaded not guilty to possession of 1.502 kilograms of cannabis for the purpose of trafficking. He was granted $300,000 bail on the condition that he lodges his passport and report to Kanu every other Friday, commencing from the 16th of May. In the same court, Lemmy Campbell was charged with being in possession of 1.502 kilograms of cannabis and aiding Mackay Andrews to traffic narcotics. Bail was refused and he is remanded to prison. Both matters will be called again on the 9th of June 2025. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Leader of the opposition Aubrey Norton on Friday highlighted that Guyanese workers spent Labor Day in poverty as they are yet to receive benefits from Guyana's oil wealth. Daisy Richards is on this story.
Opposition leader Aubrey Norton, speaking during a press conference on Friday, highlighted that Labor Day in 2025 reaped no benefits for Guyanese workers.
The day marked no progress or achievement in terms of a better quality of life, higher benefits, and compensation for the workers of Guyana.
The opposition leader added that the government does not respect the workers of Guyana, and Labor Day highlighted the hardships and struggles they face and endure on a daily basis.
Under a government that believes that development is about bricks and concrete and not about people, the government continued to force the Guyanese workers to live from paycheck to paycheck amidst oil wealth.
Referencing Guyana's constitution, he noted the important roles of workers' input in the society, and as such, their contributions and human resource capacity must be rewarded with a decent standard of living and high quality of life.
Yet under this regime, the reality is starkly different. Even with oil wealth, the ranks of the working poor continue to swell.
Norton pointed out that the rights of unions and their workers continue to be violated by the government.
There are too many of our workers still experience a life of destruction, economic insecurity, and hardships.
On Thursday, Guyana celebrated Labor Day with workers out in the red, white, and black, marching for workers' rights on the streets of Georgetown. For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
Thank you, Daisy. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. You're watching the HGP Nightly News. Welcome back. We tell you that the leader of the opposition has made good on his promise to write to the president to request an international body and an international commission of inquiry to investigate the case of 11-year-old Adriana Young. Daisy Richards will tell you more.
Yes, I will be writing the government.
That was leader of the opposition Aubrey Norton earlier on Friday during the party's weekly press conference. The opposition leader made good on his promise and wrote to President Irfan Ali formally requesting for an international commission of inquiry into the death of 11-year-old Adriana Young. In his letter seen by this newscast, the opposition leader pointed out that the case of the 11-year-old has revealed weaknesses in Guyana's law enforcement and, quote, the willingness of some to use inaction in pursuit of nefarious objectives, unquote. Noting an editorial in Stabroek titled, quote-unquote, All Things Rotten, Norton added that there is a view that the matter is beyond mistake. He highlighted that, quote, the decisions, omissions, and public communications reveal a disturbing pattern that could reasonably be interpreted as political expedient incompetence, unquote. He then requested an international commission of inquiry headed by a distinguished Commonwealth jurist. He also called for support to the inquiry by foreign agencies like the Federal Bureau of Investigations, Scotland Yard, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Force. He stressed that the terms of references must reflect and ensure that the process is authentic and thorough as a main component considering the tragedy that transpired and the fallout that manifested as a result of the death of this young child. Adriana Young's body was found in the pool of the Doubleday Hotel on the 24th of April, following her disappearance on the 23rd. Since the gruesome discovery of her body, the country has experienced an ugly phase of uneasiness of riots, protest actions, and looting, all in the name of justice for the 11-year-old's death. For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
The Public Utilities Commission has opted not to penalize the Guyana Power and Light despite the companies failing to meet 7 out of 8 standards in 2024. This, according to former Public Works Minister David Patterson, is questionable of the agency's indebtedness to the citizens. Antonio Day will tell you more.
The Public Utilities Commission PUC has opted not to penalize the Guyana Power and Light Company, despite the agency's failure to meet 7 of 8 standards in 2024, including blackout frequencies and outage durations. David Patterson, chairman of the Alliance for Change, said that GPL has consistently failed to meet these benchmarks, and the Public Utilities Commission is fully aware of such irregularities. In response to a question posed by Nightly News, the former Minister of Public Infrastructure said that this decision was politically influenced, as the current chairman of PUC, Dr. Nando Gopal, was a former minister under the current regime.
The Commission, the PUC under Ms. Britton, fined GPL under which, and I know that for sure, and at that time we failed 3 of the 8 criteria.
The PUC placed on the record its disappointment at the power company's inability to meet 7 of the 8 standards, which Patterson said should have given the PUC no choice but to institute penalties.
PUC, under the chairmanship of the PPP-appointed chairman and a very stacked and unimpartial board, decided that it's not the duty for the country to fine GPL.
The PUC, in a statement, and I quote, "Notwithstanding the company's failures, the Commission is of the view that GPL has articulated several external factors, such as the recurring damage to infrastructure by vehicles and equipment, a global software upgrade, and electricity theft, as the primary reasons which contributed to the company's failure to meet some of the performance indicators," unquote. The regulatory agency said that it will not impose a penalty on the company, but it will continue to closely monitor and scrutinize the quarterly operations of GPL in 2025 with a view to ensuring that there is the required compliance with the standards and targets. The AFC chairman posited that the PUC stands on the position, shows its indebtedness to GPL rather than the public.
Without a strong regulatory body, the GPL will continue providing us with a substandard service. I am personally disappointed because I could recall that when we were fined in 2018.
I am Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
We report now of a Thursday afternoon fire in Kitty. The Guyana Fire Service is yet to determine the cause of a fire that ravaged several buildings located between Thomas and Pike Streets, Kitty, on Thursday afternoon. More than 7 persons have been displaced because of the fire. An occupant of one of the homes recalled smelling smoke, then a loud explosion.
I walk around the whole building, and she also walked around her building. And that's when we see something go boom, like a fire gas or something blow up, and a big smoke. And it started with one house, and then it just continued to the next house, and the other house, the water tank melt.
Nightly News understands that 2 elderly women were rescued from one of the burning buildings. At least one man is thankful that his home, which is close to the buildings that were destroyed, has not been affected.
Good for me. God is so good that my house has been saved because my brother and my nieces and my cousin them keep soaking the back of the house. So my house has been saved, thank God for Jesus.
The fire department came in for some criticisms because of the manner in which they handled the blaze.
When the fire service do attend, they could have saved them people's house, they could have saved the other whole house on this side here. But they just do their own thing. They just look for hustle for the middle house. They hustle for soak the house around it. What's normally do? Them do their own thing. That's what they do.
The Guyana Fire Service responded to the fire about 30 minutes after the initial call. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. You're watching the HGP Nightly News. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. One day after the International Court of Justice ordered Venezuela to suspend the plans for elections in Guyana's Essequibo region, Venezuela has rejected the ruling, declaring it does not recognize the court's jurisdiction and will not comply with any of its decisions. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
In a strongly worded statement, Venezuela accused the ICJ process of being manipulated by anti-Venezuelan corporate interests. It reiterated that The Geneva Agreement remains the only valid path for resolving the border dispute and urged Guyana to return to direct negotiations. In response, Guyana's agent to the ICJ, Carl Greenidge, told this newscast that jurisdiction is not Venezuela's decision to make.
Venezuela is a member of the United Nations, and once you are a member of the United Nations and a court case arises at the ICJ which involves you, the court has a process by which it goes through to establish whether or not it can have jurisdiction.
Greenidge added that Venezuela is bounded by the 1966 Geneva Agreement and cannot selectively disregard it.
The International Court of Justice has looked at this complaint by Venezuela, suggesting that the court didn't have jurisdiction, and it has dismissed it.
He also dismissed President Nicolas Maduro's call for bilateral negotiations, calling it misleading.
And trying to rewrite the history and claim that you are a victim is really not going to prevent them dealing with the consequences of the court's decision.
Venezuela has scheduled regional elections in the disputed Essequibo region for May 25, 2025, despite the ICJ's ruling. In a statement on Friday, Guyana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it expects Venezuela to act responsibly and comply with the court's binding decision issued on December 1, 2023 and May 1, 2025. Guyana also reaffirmed it will not engage in bilateral talks over Venezuela's claim of nullity of the 1899 arbitral award, which underpins Venezuela's claim to nearly two-thirds of Guyana's territory. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Tiana. Support for the monetization of the work done by content creators and closing the gap in the digital landscape are two topics that will be covered at this year's Caribbean Content Creators and Influencers Summit, which is scheduled for June 21 and 22. Antonio Day will tell you more.
The Caribbean Content Creators and Influencers Summit, scheduled to take place on June 21 to the 22nd of this year, will attract over 300 influencers and content creators from across the region at the Royal International Hotel in Georgetown. This inaugural and innovative event aims to bridge the gaps in the content creation market and support the monetization for Caribbean influencers. It will feature speeches, panel discussions, and numerous networking opportunities. This was stated by Jamesia McCalman-Nelson, coordinator of the event and CEO of Animac Media and Entertainment Network.
To talk about the growth and development of the region's digital economy, we know that content creators and the influencers market, by extension, it is $1 billion industry. And in talking about an industry of that caliber, the Caribbean cannot be left out of the conversation.
While there are summits for content creators in Africa and Europe, McCalman-Nelson posited that this event needs to come into fruition due to the competitiveness in the content creation industry.
But when we begin to look at the advancement of Caribbean content creators, we said that, this is needed. And so the planning commenced for this since 2023. We started reaching out to stakeholders.
In response to the problem of unemployment in this industry, Nelson stated that although local and regional stakeholders can help monetize content creation, young people with talent and access to technological devices can start from scratch and not be solely dependent on policymakers.
I would love to see our policymakers and our government putting systems in place to ensure that content creators can truly benefit from the platforms in which they take up space in.
She emphasized that although many young people in the region and in the local spectrum lament the issue of unemployment, they may possess talents that can make it simple for them to make money.
There are persons who are able to leave their traditional 9-to-5 jobs and make content creation and influencer their bread and butter. Many of us have access to a phone and we do not utilize it to its fullest potential. Your phone is a money maker.
McCalman Nelson shared her high expectations for the upcoming event.
This conference is not just for content creators or influencers, it's also for the communication specialists, the marketing managers, for companies as well who want to know how to get their brand, how to get their products out there, how to get their service out there.
I am Antonio D reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Your regional news is up next.
Good evening, I'm Daisy Richards with Friday's edition of the Regional News. We begin with news from the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands will be led by a new coalition government after no single party clinched a majority following a general election this week. Andre Ebanks will be the new premier of the wealthy British territory, according to a government statement late Thursday. He'll lead a coalition of 3 independent candidates and 2 new political parties, the Cayman Islands National Party, founded by a former manager at Ernst and Young, and the Caymanian Community Party, established by Ebanks and other members of the dissolved United People's Movement. The 2 parties won 4 seats each in Wednesday's parliamentary election. Meanwhile, the People's Progressive Movement won 7 seats, but was 3 short of a majority. The territory's parliament has a total of 21 seats, 2 of which are appointed. Ebanks has pledged to stabilize the territory's finances and address what he described as a cost of living crisis. During the election, voters also approved in a referendum decriminalizing the possession and consumption of small amounts of marijuana and creating a national lottery. They rejected a proposal to develop cruise berthing infrastructure, which environmentalists have opposed. While in Chile, Chilean police forces aided by the FBI took down an international gang of thieves that carried out robberies in the United States, authorities said on Wednesday. The raid, codenamed Operation Pennsylvania, took place across dozens of homes in Santiago on Tuesday night and led to the arrest of 23 people and a seizure of 1.3 billion pesos, $1.36 million worth of goods and real estate, according to the police. Chileans have been arrested in recent high-profile robberies, including the theft of U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's purse in a Washington restaurant this month, and a series of break-ins to the homes of professional athletes, including Kansas City Chiefs football player Travis Kelce, boyfriend of pop star Taylor Swift. Johnny Fica, head of the investigative police of Chile's PDI Money and Asset Laundering Division, said many of the detainees had no criminal records in Chile, but were career criminals abroad that laundered assets in Chile. Fica said the investigation began last year and was carried out with information from the FBI. Images from the raid showed drawers filled with iPhones, luxury watches, cars, purses, and shoes. Finally, Stuart Young has resigned as chairman of the People's National Movement, PNM, a position he held since December 2020. In a letter on Wednesday, addressed to the party's General Secretary, Foster Cummins, Young stated, quote, "I have always served our party with a sense of pride, coupled with an acknowledgement that representation comes with responsibility," unquote. He said that after deep personal reflection, culminating with the result of the 2025 general elections, he was quitting. Young asked that Cummins convey his thanks to the membership through the General Council, which meets at 4:30 p.m. Wednesday at Blazer House. The 2025 general election delivered a crushing blow to the PNM, which lost government and several key constituencies and its overall parliamentary majority for the first time in over a decade. The election was widely seen as a referendum on the party's handling of economic recovery, crime, and governance issues. But political analysts have pointed to internal divisions and voter fatigue as contributing factors to the loss, prompting calls for leadership change and introspection within the party. Thank you for watching. Do have a great weekend. Until next time.
Opposition leader formally requests International Commission of Inquiry into the death of Adriana Young. Government forces Guyanese workers to work from paycheck to paycheck, says opposition leader. And 2 men remanded to prison for threatening to kill President Ali and inciting violence. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.